In one of my recent Reacts videos, we watched a Range Rover roll down a massive hill totally out of control. And many of the comments said that he needed to use an emergency hill start recovery because that would have got him out of trouble. Well, whether it would have or not, I'm not convinced. But being able to self-recover your four-wheel drive when you're on a really steep hill and can no longer go forward is an excellent technique that will help you be safe when you're out there on the trails. So I'm going to teach you how to self-recover your four-wheel drive when you can no longer go up the hill that you were trying to get up. Let's get into it. So let's imagine the scenario. We've come to a hill. Now it could be a short hill that you could walk and check out before you have to drive it. But let's imagine it's not. It's a long hill, and so you've been grinding away for a couple of kilometers and making your way up this climb, and you come around a corner and there's these massive big washouts in front of you that you can't drive through without getting out and checking it out. So you've got to stop the vehicle, and you're on a monster hill. That's what this procedure is all about, is being able to stop the vehicle in a controlled manner and bring the vehicle to a stop, and then in a controlled manner drive it back down to a place where it's safe to park up. So I'm going to demonstrate that on this piece of hill here. So the procedure I'm going to teach you first is how to do it in a manual four-wheel drive vehicle. And the reason I'm doing it first in the manual is because if you can understand these principles, you're going to apply the similar principles to the automatic. And most of you are probably driving automatic four-wheel drives. The way we do it in the auto is actually simpler than the manual. So it's important you understand how to do it in manual, and then we'll teach you how to do it in the automatic. I want to underline this as well though. When you know how to do it in a manual, you might be driving an automatic, but you're on a trip, you come across somebody on the trail and they need assistance. You can talk them through how to do it in their manual vehicle, and or they may even need you to drive the vehicle for whatever reason. So understanding how to do this procedure in a manual four-wheel drive is really, really good baseline knowledge, and it's easier to apply it to the automatics once you get your head around it. So let's start by heading on up this hill and starting this procedure. This isn't as steep as I've driven, but it's really good for this demonstration purpose. So we're driving on up. We're having a lovely day. It's a beautiful day out here, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, and we're rolling on up the hill, and then, oh no, look at that monster rut. What I'm going to do now is back off the throttle and put my foot on the brake, and the vehicle stops. Now I'm going to pull the handbrake on. Now we've got the vehicle in a nice, safe, controlled manner. At this point, we can now relax. It might be really steep, and adrenaline's pumping, and you're going, oh, bit stressed out. You can take a breath, you can relax, have a drink of water, do what you need to do. The next thing we're going to do is look into our mirrors and think about our situation. What's behind me? How do I travel backwards? So I'm having a look in this mirror here, and I can see a bit of a flat area not far behind me. I'm thinking that'd be a good spot to start. I look in my left mirror and I can see there's a rut to the left-hand side. Now, I've just driven up the hill, so I know that I can drive to the right of the rut. But obviously when I'm going backwards, I don't want to fall in that rut. So I'm starting to get an understanding of this terrain. You know what I want to do? I'm going to get a spotter, my passenger, because I've got my passenger. He's the cameraman. His name's Nick. I've got him here, and I'm going, Nick, jump out and make sure I don't fall in the rut. Now, Nick had an argument with me and he said, no, I'm staying in the car to film the footage. So he's staying in the car, but you get the idea, all right? Okay, so now what am I going to do? I'm now going to get the vehicle into reverse so that I can go backwards. Handbrake on, my foot's hard on the foot brake, and I'm now gently pushing the clutch in. I'm feeling that the vehicle stays on the brakes. Okay, it did settle a little bit, but that's okay. Now from first into reverse, clutch out. Now I'm safe again. The engine's holding the vehicle, the brakes are holding the vehicle, and the handbrake's holding the vehicle. Okay, now I'm going to gently take the handbrake off. I'm looking on my mirrors. Next thing is Now I want to know where's my steering. When I was coming up to this stop point, I didn't turn my steering any unexpected direction, so my wheels should be facing back and forward or straight down the line of where I want to travel, and my spotter can confirm that for me. Okay, we're now ready to go backwards. So what I'm going to do is turn the key and start the engine. And now we're driving backwards in reverse, nice and controlled. What you find is some vehicles though, when they start, they will rev up a little bit. We call it high idle, and it's just part of the start procedure. And so when your vehicle does that, it may lurch a bit. Just cover the brakes, let the engine control get itself settled down, and you'll have control of the vehicle. So you just got to work through that situation. Let me know in the comments if you find it really weird, the whole idea of starting your four-wheel drive when it's in gear and the clutch is out. So that was a deep run through. Now I want to do the same drive again with a little less dialogue and more just demonstration so that you can see the procedure and how I would do it if I was in this situation. So as I come to the point where I'm going to stop the vehicle, I'm going to leave my foot off the clutch. I'm not touching the clutch. I come off the accelerator and I put my foot on the brake. And now pull the handbrake on. The vehicle is now secured at 3 points. The engine's holding it, the foot brake is holding it, and the handbrake is holding the vehicle stationary. So that's what we want. Now I do my mirror checks. I'm checking behind me. I throw my spotter out. You tell me what to do back there, old mate. And now I need to get the vehicle into reverse. Slowly push the clutch in. Let the vehicle settle on the brakes a little bit, into reverse, clutch out. Looking in my mirrors again. Handbrake off. Let it settle on the brakes, covering the brake. I'm not touching the clutch. Turn the key, engine starts. We drive back down the hill really controlled. I'm monitoring where my steering is. Get to the bottom here, and when I'm at my safe point, foot on the brake, turn the key off, and I don't touch the clutch again. Handbrake on. Now I'm secured at 3 points again. At this point, I could ask my spotter to put a log behind the tyres or a rock there so it doesn't roll either. And then it's safe for me to jump out of the vehicle and go and walk the hill and plan how I can get up this hill. But that's the procedure that's going to keep you controlled, safe, and make sure that you manage the situation with skill and finesse and don't run risks of hurting yourself or your four-wheel drive. Let's show you how we do it with an automatic four-wheel drive. So let's talk about the automatic. Now, auto is really quite easy to get right, but I wanted to teach you the manual stuff first, because if you understand that, you're going to be able to do the automatic just that much better. You're going to have a deeper understanding. So we're going to do all of the same procedure, except we don't stop the engine, because there is no point doing that in your automatic vehicle. So we'll drive up the hill here. We'll decide that we can't go any more because it's too dangerous and we need to check out the track, and we'll bring the vehicle to a stop. Okay, so driving up the hill. Okay, we need to stop. So all we're going to do is put our foot on the brake and we stop. It's as easy as that. And you probably already kind of knew that's how easy it was going to be. But you may notice I've used my left foot to brake. And that's a really good technique because it allows your right foot to drive the throttle, your left foot to drive the brake, and you're well balanced in that sense. There's nothing wrong with using just your right foot, but it's better to use your left foot. Okay, now we do our normal checks. We pull our handbrake on, we have a look around behind us, we see if everything's okay. All right, yep, everything's okay. The engine's still running. We've got our spotter to jump out and spot that rut that we saw behind us. And now we want to go backwards. Now, we're going to put the transmission into reverse. We go neutral, make sure the brakes are holding it, then we go reverse. The reason we want to make sure that the brakes are holding it in neutral is because when we put it into reverse, we'll start driving backwards. So we want to make sure we've got control without just slamming straight into reverse. We've got control, we're in reverse, our steering wheel is facing the correct direction, handbrake off, and now we can just gently modulate our drive backwards on the brakes. Nice and slow. Keep it as slow as you can. There's no need to rush. It's more important to keep the vehicle under control and safe. Okay, we've now got back to our flat area and all is good. So let's just run through that again so that we can see it in a nice flowing action. All right, let's just driving up the hill. All is good. Okay, we want to stop, left foot on the brake, bring the vehicle to a stop, handbrake on. Look in the mirrors, spotters jumping out of the car to help us go backwards. Steering wheel is straight into neutral. Feel that the brakes have got control. If you found that the brakes didn't have control, you can put it back into drive. But we do have control, so we now go into reverse and feel it. Yep, it's good. Handbrake off, and we start to drive backwards nice and slow, keeping it under control. There we go. And now that the four-wheel drive's nice and safe down the hill, we're able to come up here and check out this obstacle. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see stuff like this on the tracks, I can't wait to have a crack at it. But being able to inspect it and understand the obstacle before you have to drive it is a really important part of four-wheel driving. And that's where understanding how to safely do that emergency hill start procedure is so important, because it keeps you safe out there. Now, if you'd like to know how you could drive a virtually stock four-wheel drive over an obstacle like this, well, I've got some content that will help you out, so check it out. I'm Mad Matt. Stay safe on the trails.